So when you're in the business of making kids media, think television for kids or YouTube for kids, maintaining that Weenie Hut Jr. squeaky clean public image is paramount to running a smooth operation. You know, parents want that peace of mind knowing they can sit their kid in front of a screen for hours watching your content and that content won't traumatize them for the rest of their life. But what happens when a freak accident happens and something slips through the cracks? Today's video is about one of those times. It happened back in 2011 when the YouTube channel of one of television's most recognizable and trusted children's shows, Sesame Street, was hacked. And during this Sesame Street hack, extremely graphic adult video content was shown to unsuspecting parents and kids who visited this page while it was going on. How the hell does something like this even happen, and who would want to do such a thing in the first place? Well, today we're going to go back and take a look at this bizarre moment of YouTube history and explain the twisted debacle that was the Sesame Street YouTube hack. Before we get started, I want to thank Surfshark VPN for sponsoring today's video. Surfshark is a VPN app that works across all of your devices, protecting your IP and data. With Surfshark, your online browsing activity is protected from internet service providers, advertisers, and of course, hackers. Not only does Surfshark VPN keep you anonymous online, it allows you to change your server location to practically anywhere in the world. Want to watch a show or movie exclusive to UK Netflix but you're located in the United States like me? Simply change to a UK server and watch to your heart's content. You can use this same strategy to access region-locked websites. And with that said, you guys can get Surfshark 83% off with 3 additional months free by clicking my link in the description and using code WAVY at checkout. Big shout out to them for sponsoring. Now let's get into the Sesame Street story. Let's begin with a backdrop on the Sesame Street YouTube channel as a whole, as it's actually one of the oldest YouTube channels in the history of YouTube. Sesame Street was the first mainstream television show that I'm aware of to establish its own dedicated YouTube presence. Launched back in January of 2006, the channel would serve as an online repository for famous clips from the show. It was a place where kids could go on YouTube and kick it with the likes of Elmo, the Cookie Monster, and Big Bird, and watch some classic wholesome content in an on-demand fashion. It was kind of a maverick move for Sesame Street at the time, to be honest. Over the years, this channel would accumulate a sizable following consisting of parents, kids, or just adults who were nostalgic about Sesame Street. Within the first 5 years, it had amassed an impressive subscriber count of over 140,000 and a total view count of over 420 million. It was actually in the list of the top 100 most viewed YouTube channels at this time, and needless to say, there were a lot of eyes on it on any given day. For 5 years, everything had gone smoothly on youtube.com/Sesame Street, but that 5-year streak would come to a screeching, should I say moaning halt on October 16th of 2011. The hack. On October 16th of 2011, the unexpected happened when Sesame Street's YouTube channel was abruptly hacked by an unknown entity. Within minutes, the channel's entire catalog, consisting of hundreds of uploads, was either privated or deleted by the perpetrator, purging its public library of content within minutes. That's not even close to being the worst part of this, though. After deleting these videos, the perpetrator would begin spamming uploads of adult videos to this kids' channel. The videos were being sent out to people's subscription boxes with deceptive titles, and many unsuspecting viewers clicked them and were met with, well, what was likely a horrifying surprise if you were a parent or a kid. News of what was happening spread quickly around the YouTube community, and YouTubers would fire up their cameras and report on this unbelievable scenario as the hack was still unfolding.
See, they had the Coochie Monster, Big Bruh, the Shocker, and Oscar the Crotch.
Did you? Clever. Clever.
I would be here all week, man.
During the hack, the hacker would change the name of the Sesame Street YouTube channel to Mr. EdXWX, which was curiously the name of a Romanian gameplay channel with approximately 10,000 subscribers. Following this name change, the hacker would broadcast this text message on the hacked Sesame Street channel. Who doesn't love kids, right? Everyone loves it. I'm Mr. EdXWX, and my partner Mr. 91 are here to bring you many nice content. Please don't let Sesame Street to get this account back, kids. Please, let me and Mr. 91 have it, and we gonna make all the America happy. Yeah, the hacking dramatics were in full swing at this point, and when you really take a step back and look at what this person was doing, It's just kind of messed up, man. Like, when you think about what Sesame Street is as a brand, as a television show, and what you're putting on this channel and possibly showing to children, this kind of shit could get you on a list, bro. Seriously. Now, fortunately, YouTube would respond to this situation very quickly, and approximately 30 minutes after it first started, they shut down the channel and the content was wiped. So yeah, the situation was resolved pretty swiftly, and Sesame Street would get their channel back. But at this point, you gotta wonder who was responsible for this, and would they be getting in trouble for this hack? Considering the message left on the channel by the hacker, naturally this dude was the prime suspect. The owner of the Mr. Ed XWX gaming channel had some explaining to do. If this guy really was the person responsible for what had happened, he could potentially lose his YouTube channel, not to mention be on the receiving end of legal action from Sesame Street. Journalists at the time who had learned about this story would find Mr. Ed's public email and sent him messages asking if he was really the one behind it. In response to the many questions, later in the same day of the hack, a short video would be posted to Mr. Ed's channel. It was simply a white background with some text reading, "I did not hack Sesame Street. I am an honest YouTuber. I work hard to make quality gameplay videos, and most importantly, I respect the community guidelines." Despite his explanation, many weren't satisfied and they took to the comments to either straight up accuse him or just joke about what had happened. That said, many out there at the time did believe his story and speculated as to what may have actually happened on Reddit. This appears to have been a venge hack, essentially framing this person as the culprit behind this. No matter what happens, that person is going to be obliged to deal with some YouTube/Google static until the full story becomes elucidated. Someone apparently wants to grief that person. Which honestly, this seems like a reasonable conclusion to come to. I mean, think about it. Why would you self-incriminate yourself with something like this? You could make some crazy argument and say that Mr. Ed really was the hacker behind the channel, and the reason why he put his name up there is because he wanted to redirect people to his gaming channel, I guess. But that doesn't make any sense, because if he really was the one who hacked it, he would probably get his real channel banned and he could potentially get in trouble with Sesame Street. It would just be really stupid. Whatever the case, Mr. Ed's channel was never terminated and it remains up and active to this day, and there was never any reported investigation initiated by Sesame Street into Mr. Ed, which in my view suggests his innocence. In the years since the hack, Mr. Ed has been mostly silent about him being blamed in the situation. I decided to reach out to him in email and see if I could get some new information regarding it. I started by simply asking him outright if he did it, and he responded, "I did not hack Sesame Street. I know it was a big problem. I had a lot of hate comments at the time, but I didn't do it." I asked Ed why he thought he was targeted and who he thought was responsible, and this is what he had to say. "Hello, Wavy. I don't know. Someone who wanted to make me look bad. It's a hateful act, and I had video trolls that make mean comments, but I don't know who did it, or why was I the target of his revenge or actions. I never did bad things. I'm the guy who will save a fly and not kill it. Funny thing, I see an insect inside, I catch it and let it go. Do good things in life, and good things will follow." Ed would also type out a dozen or so answers to frequently asked questions he gets regarding this situation. Sesame Street did not try to contact me. I contacted YouTube to explain I didn't do it, but I did not get a reply. I think they have the IP address, and no, I did not do it. That's why I have no problems with YouTube. They know I did not do it. I don't know Mr. 91. I received spam emails fishing for information to hack my channel. The story was so big, CNN posted a link/article. The story made it in German newspapers. I got a lot of hate and blame for a long time. My channel is my life. I had times when I was working and going to after high school to finish my studies for the job I had. At that time, I was sleeping 3 or 4 hours per night, but I did not quit making videos. At the time Sesame Street was hacked, some reporters sent me emails to ask if I did it. I did my best to reply and help. I want to know who did it and why me. The spotlight was on my channel and it for all the bad words I got. Some users supported me and subscribed. I'm grateful for that. My English is not perfect, but I do my best. I'm from Romania. He even shared with me an old email that he had sent to what appears to be some sort of contact at Sesame Street, where he explains that he had nothing to do with the hack and that it was simply someone trying to frame him. And with that, I think I'm more than comfortable in saying that I don't think Mr. Ed was responsible for this hack, and he was indeed being framed by some unknown entity. An entity that could have been a disgruntled fan or a jealous YouTube competitor. Who really knows? What's clear is that Mr. Ed's actions when this event took place don't align with a malicious hacker. They align with someone who is trying to desperately clear their name. So if Mr. Ed wasn't the guy, the next and really only other lead is this Mr. 91 fellow, the other guy mentioned in the hacker's post. 91 has never said anything publicly regarding this hack or him being named in the hacker's post. Very little information is known about this person. When you try to find a YouTube channel under this guy's name, nothing pops up nowadays, but there was a channel under his name at one point that had about 12,000 subscribers. Using some old links, I was able to get a copy of this channel working in the Wayback Machine, and it appears to be some kind of music and performance archive channel. Interestingly, this channel, like Mr. Ed's channel, is based out of Romania, and it appears it was disabled sometime in 2012. There really isn't much to be taken away from this guy's channel. It is interesting that him and Mr. Ed are both from Romania, but I mean, that's just a coincidence, and since Mr. Ed seems innocent, I really don't see why that link would mean anything in the first place. That said, it is important to consider that Mr. 91's channel is no longer active on YouTube, and Mr. Ed's is. Could it be possible that the reason for Mr. 91 being gone is because YouTube later discovered that he was the one responsible for the hack and got rid of him? While I can't find any evidence to substantiate this, nor can I determine why Mr. 91's channel is disabled, I think it's a theory worth considering. Take it with a grain of salt though. As far as we know, this Mr. 91 guy did nothing wrong. Yes, he's never made any public comment about this hack, but just because you don't say anything doesn't mean you're guilty. Ultimately, there's really no evidence that this Mr. 91 was responsible for the hack, and it looks like they just made it on this hacker's shit list similarly to Mr. Ed. I did reach out to this channel using an old email that I found, and I've yet to receive a response. It's been over 10 years now since this hack, and the true identity of the hacker is still unconfirmed. Many make blanket claims that 4chan was responsible for it, but no evidence has surfaced to confidently implicate the users of the site for what happened on that day. And in all reality, it's unlikely that we'll ever really know who was behind this and how they got the information to log into the account. That said, it is speculated that the hackers could have gotten Sesame Street's password using a phishing scam that fooled the management of the channel. These types of scams were popular with hacking syndicates like LulzSec at this time. While we don't know for sure if that's what happened, it definitely seems more likely than two random Romanian channels coming together to overthrow the Sesame Street channel and then pointing viewers to their channels to implicate themselves for the hack. That just doesn't seem like that would actually happen. Because, you know, you'd probably get permanently banned from YouTube in the process. Ultimately, Sesame Street would recover from what had happened. Their channel is doing great nowadays. While it wasn't a series-ending blunder, it is definitely a strange and bizarre infamous internet hacking moment that internet history nerds like myself will remember for many years to come. And that, my friends, was the story of the Sesame Street hack. Let me know what you guys thought about this story down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace.